Okay, let's see here. Make sure we're up on this Memorial Day edition. We are up there. Very good. Excellent. Let's check, make sure people are popping on. Also very good. People are jumping on. All right. Let's make sure. There we go. Charlotte, North Carolina. I was in Charlotte for a few hours this weekend. Tennessee, Lexington, Virginia, Boston, Massachusetts. Yes, welcome back home. Thank you for that. Texas, Michigan. Good. Texas, Michigan, Los Angeles. I still love Joe. Hello, Long Island, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Clarksville, Tennessee. Wonderful. Very cool. Georgia, Indiana, Nebraska, Perth, Western Australia. Thank you, Australia. Someday I'd like to go to Australia. It's on my list. Sarasota, just down the road. Good. Awesome. New York City. I love New York City, just not right now. New York City is my favorite city in the whole wide world. All right, Iowa. Happy Memorial Day. Wonderful. We're going to dive in. We're going to dive in because Dr. Dean hit a little bit of West Coast swing tonight. So he got some sleep, but he's ready for a little more, and then I'll be back to reset tomorrow, which is good. So awesome. Welcome. Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network, your source for health, freedom, and knowledge. And tonight we're going to dive into some stuff. We're going to make it efficient, and then we're going to rock and roll from there, okay? Awesome. So first of all, very, very, very important, happy Memorial Day. So Memorial Day, I feel like holidays, especially like things like Memorial Day, Independence Day, President's Day, all these different holidays that celebrate America, celebrate freedom, celebrate those who fought for us, who helped give us freedom in this country, obviously. I feel like in the last, 20 plus years that they've been mostly, and this is not everybody, but it's been the general feel that I've had, is it's become like the barbecue day, and it's become like the go have a party in backyard kind of day. And I don't like that. I never really have because it's supposed to mean something. So when I say Happy Memorial Day, I truly mean that. And I want to come from an angle of, I am a libertarian constitutionalist, but I fall on the more conservative side. So I actually don't, I'm not a libertarian, registered libertarian. I'm registered Republican, just from a strategic standpoint. I fall in the middle. I have very hardcore libertarian views, and I also have very hardcore conservative constitutional views, which lean a little Republican. I don't love Republican or Democrat. And I am very hardcore on the libertarian principle of we shouldn't be involved in wars. However, we should have a very strong national defense. So when the president spends a lot of money on the national defense, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Now, going forward, it has to be budgeted correctly because there's a lot of money that gets wasted. But I am not for going to other countries and creating problems and destroying places and creating central banks and things like that. So I want to clarify that, because in the past, when you talk about military and all these in Memorial Day and everything else, the very hard libertarian, even more anarchists, they like to focus on war is bad, don't support the troops, don't support any. That's complete BS too, because at the end of the day, our soldiers, our military, have fought for us. And yes, they did fight for freedom. Now, did they know that things were bankers' wars? Not necessarily, but keep in mind, what was their purpose for signing up for the military? What was their purpose of going? They had the right purpose in mind. Right? They wanted to defend the United States of America. And at the time, that's what they knew. That's what they believed it was. Now, even if you get rid of all of that stuff and you get rid of all the wars and you bring them all home from Afghanistan, you bring them home from Iraq, you bring them home from Syria, all these different places, we still need a strong national defense. Even if we have a great awakening where everyone wakes up to a brand new world and something more positive, I also want people to understand that you're never, now this is my viewpoint, okay? I could be wrong, but I don't believe you'll ever have quote unquote peace on earth. And I know some people won't like that because that's what they want to believe is peace on earth, no war ever, etc. And I almost look at that as a utopia. I don't think there's going to be such thing as a utopia. Even when this all goes down and we're a happier people and we reform our government and take care of the deep state, you're still going to have corruption. You're still going to have things like unethical behavior and different stuff like that. I mean, that doesn't take away human nature, all right? So at the end of the day, we still need a national defense. We need people who are willingly signing up for the military, who are going to defend our nation. Because if you have someone who tries to come in and take us over, like China or Russia or somebody else, because they don't like something or they have a bad ruler or government, whatever it is, we still must defend ourselves, okay? So, Memorial Day is that day to respect our troops, even if you do not like war, which I do not like, and even if you don't agree with the things that we've done as Americans, because I don't agree with some of the things we've done either. I still absolutely respect the people who stood up, both living and past, who were willing to take on that battle for us and willing. Keep in mind, you have men and women who are willing to die for you. Understand the gravity of that decision, that they're willing to die for you because of that flag right there. That flag, that one in the peacetime flag that you see me talk about. That flag, that allegiance to that flag is that important because we love our country. Australia has to love their country. Canada has to love their country. UK has to love their country. China, Russia, everyone should love their country. That's still a patriot, okay? So, we love this one. This is what ours was fought for. And keep in mind, not only that, remember on Memorial Day, remember on President's Day, remember on Independence Day, we have the greatest founding documents known to this day in the history of the planet. The Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, the Articles of Confederation. They were done by brilliant people. None of them were perfect, but they still had brilliant information. And so we have the freedom today. And keep in mind, we do still have freedom, right? Americans can walk outside. We're not like Venezuela. We're not like Australia. And sorry not to offend those countries, but I know that there's problems there. We're not China. We're not communist. Okay. Now, yes, we've had a lot of socialist issues pop in. We have social programs, but we're still a free America. Now, we are debt slaves, yes, from the central bank, but we are still free. I can come to you and talk like this every single night. We can have people on Twitter and other places like that speak their mind. You cannot do that in every country. So, this is our country. This is our Memorial Day. Respect those who sacrificed everything and still serve to keep our country as free as humanly possible. It's that important. Okay? Excellent. Hope that helped. Happy Memorial Day. Now, let's dive into people who don't respect our country. How about that? Let's dive into, and I'm going to share my screen with you. Let's dive into dumb, uneducated. Well, I shouldn't say uneducated. I should say sold out people who don't respect our country. That's what we're going to talk about, okay? All these people who don't respect our country. So let's jump into it, okay? All right. Here is Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who, that's a nice picture of her. That's where she actually looks like she's still somewhat healthy-ish. If you've seen her latest pictures, she looks like she has been possessed by Satan. However, she is outwardly, overtly defying the president when the president said that we should make churches essential. Okay? She said he was foolish, so she's calling our president foolish, right? And then down here, she also says the president has no power to override her local lockdown of churches and businesses. Well, watch him. He's going to. And if she doesn't watch it, she's going to get hammered, okay? And she will. Now, Chicago police fined 3 churches for holding worship service, right? And then down here, on Sunday, the Chicago mayor defied President Trump and sent an armed police squad to a Black Baptist church on the south side of Chicago. This is insane. Why can we not just allow people to go to church, no matter where they go, no matter what color, no matter what religion, allow them to go to church and do what they believe necessary, right? Courtney Lewis, the pastor of Cornerstone Baptist Church in Chicago, was in the middle of his sermon when he heard a loud banging on the front doors. It was the police, and they were denied entry into the sanctuary, according to Todd Starnes. Good for him. Mayor Lori Lightfoot had dispatched 3 squad cars and 2 unmarked cars filled with armed officers. A representative from the mayor's office was also present, okay? It's completely insane. Pastor Lewis said the intent was to shut down their Sunday services. It was like the Soviet-style KGB, he said. The only thing she hasn't done yet is beat down the doors and arrest our members, right? What kind of country have we become when a mayor of a town will shut down any church? This is a Black Baptist church. I was in one Black Baptist church in Florida. One of my patients passed away this a couple years ago. And I went to their church for the viewing or for the service. Never been one before. And let me tell you, they were some of the most cheerful, happy people on the face of the planet. They were worshiping, they were singing, there was some Jesus in that place. Like, they were fantastic. I was like, this is a great church. I don't know why I wouldn't come back. They're phenomenal. How could you, and keep in mind, I don't even know that necessarily this woman, I think she is against religion because she looks like it. She's actually in other clips talked about obeying the New World Order in Chicago. You can look her up. She's had a couple different videos where I actually heard her say, oh, they want people in Chicago to obey the New World Order. But this woman is willing to shut down the wonderful people of this South Chicago Black Baptist church. And she's black. Like, this is insanity, right? This is the crap that they pull, right? And she is a full-blown Democrat cabal type member. Now, I don't know if she's part of the cabal at the top. Probably not. She's basically, this is what her and people like Whitmer in Michigan do. They're not part of the elite yet, but what they want to do is they want to be part of the elite. So they'll do anything they can like this, like shutting down their state for longer or shutting down a nice Baptist church. They'll shut these places down so they can make a statement showing the elite that they're worthy of being in their club. That's what these people do. So this is their insanity, okay? And I would honestly hope that someday I see this woman get arrested because she's completely insane and she's not fit for office. I can't believe she got elected. I'd be curious how she actually did get elected. Now, I don't personally know because I don't follow Chicago politics. I will tell you my story about Chicago. I've been to Chicago, I think, 3 times. From a city standpoint, it's absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful city, okay? However, everywhere you go downtown, and I've only been in the inner city, like the central part, which is the nicer area, the not the bad parts. And every door, most of the time, when you go into a door, has a little circle or sign on it that has a gun with a X through it, okay? Meaning no guns, gun-free zone. And I'll tell you, it doesn't make you feel safe. I would rather be in a place where there's guns all over the place and I'm being protected by somebody or me carrying my own gun. So that's how I feel about that. But it's an interesting place. I don't know how she got elected, but she sure did. Okay. Now, today was Memorial Day. So the president, okay, does his annual ceremony. But it was an interesting day because if I go back over, this is what they look like today. So you had the president with no mask on. Melania, First Lady, also no mask on. And then you had Joe Biden and his wife with their mask on. Okay? Now, this is deeper than I think just like, for example, just looking at it, it goes deeper than this. The Democrats right now are trying to socially control the Democrat citizens, the liberal citizens, people who are going to vote for them. because they are making, Joe Biden is making a statement there. He is trying to let them believe that you have to wear a mask to be safe. Okay? That's exactly what he's doing. This is not because Joe Biden is actually afraid of COVID-19. Not at all. And obviously the president is not afraid. The president is showing strength here. Joe Biden is getting all of the people, as many people as possible in the country, to follow social control, that you should wear your mask all the time. I'm telling you right now, even over the weekend, flying, I will tell you, there is a very strong feeling in the air when you're. Well, I was just in the airport or in the airplane. There is a very strong feeling in the air where if you don't comply or you're not wearing one, you're standing out almost like a leper. Now, I didn't necessarily personally feel that way at all. However, I could tell you, if you have people that are not as confident in themselves or a little worried about rules, I will tell you, you're going to feel like an outcast being in places like this or in groups like this where everyone's wearing a mask. And that's when people flip. They start feeling bad. They feel like, oh, they're not following the group, and they put the mask on. There's a clip circulating around. I didn't find it before I came on. It might have showed you where I think it was in Long Island. I think downtown or somewhere in the city or Long Island. And they were in a grocery store, and there was probably, 6, 7 people who had masks on. And they were publicly shaming a woman because she wasn't wearing a mask in a grocery store in like the produce aisle. And it's New York City or Long Island. They were not kind. They were dropping expletives, calling her stupid, everything. Lots of words flying, okay? In the middle of a public grocery store. So they are trying to push this mask compliance as social control, all right? That's what they're doing. I wrote the anti-mask post last night, and immediately I had a bunch of followers fall off. And I don't think it was people falling off because they disagreed with me. I think we're going into this social control situation where they want everyone to comply, and the president or the vice president who's running for president is doing the same way, and they look like complete idiots. It's not going to help his dementia when he gets less or he gets more carbon dioxide that he breathes into that mask. So his brain might take another turn south. Not a good thing. Now, as I say, talking about Joe Biden, I also posted a video today that I found on Twitter, I think yesterday, going after the Joe Biden saying in his little interview with, I don't know who the gentleman's name is, the black interviewer who talked to him, and he said, if you vote for President Trump, you ain't black. I'm not saying that. That's his words. I have no words for that. I am not a person who dives down the racism hole because it's abhorrent to me. Anybody who... now, I'm also not a person who thinks... I'm not going to do the whole utopia, everything is great in a world and say like, oh, I don't see color, because that's not real either. We're tribal people. So, I mean, if you're walking down the road, I'm not going to say, oh, everyone's the same color to me. Everyone's the same to me because I don't see that. No, everyone sees... like, if I see an Asian, I see an Asian. If I see a black person, I see a black person. If I see an Indian, I see an Indian person. Like, I notice skin. We're tribal people. So I also don't want people to get into this whole idea that, just because we are equal, and we are, that we don't see color. Of course we see color, but we don't treat people differently because we see color. We are tribal people. So, for example, if you were back in the day walking through the jungle when there was cavemen around, and you walked upon another tribe that might have been a different color or looked different or wore paint or something like that, just was different than your tribe, one of the first things you might do is you might stop because they're different than you, okay? You might stop to be hesitant, right? So you can still recognize that someone is a different color or looks different. Now, it doesn't mean you treat them differently. You can get to know them. But they want us to live in a society where they dictate all of our social rules. All right? So back to the video. Joe Biden said something that was so over the top. I mean, I don't usually throw out the word racism, but what he said, I mean, I don't know how else you look at it, is the fact that, like, what he said was basically a pretty bigoted remark. I mean, if you don't vote for President Trump, you ain't black. That's not a smart thing to say, just in general. He would be absolutely destroyed if President Trump said that. Absolutely destroyed. Completely wrong. So the video I love because I believe this is part of the awakening and the change of society. I'm gonna actually take you over to an article right now, and I'm not gonna read the article necessarily. You can go look it up. I agree with some of it. I don't agree with all of it, but I really appreciate where they're coming from in the article. So I'm gonna go to this article real quick, and right here. Okay, how the Democrats destroyed the black community and no one noticed. Now, I don't think it was just Democrats. Trust me. That's why I'm saying right now. This is not simply a Democrat thing. Not just Democrats destroyed the black community. Republicans had their part in it, okay? Republicans are just as bad in this area, okay? Inner cities. However, this is what's occurring. The inner cities are a mess because, honestly, the cabal led Democrats for the most part, and then obviously some Republicans, have helped inner cities become terrible. They run drugs into the inner cities. They run guns into the inner cities. And next thing you know, you have what like this picture shows here, which is an absolutely destroyed inner city. Now, this is just one building, but this is where drugs go. This is where guns go. Now, when I say guns, I don't mean responsible guns. This is where illegal guns end up going, okay? But if you scroll down this, it talks about the history. I want to go to something else here. Now, this is the Democrat Party versus the Republican Party. Now, this is just some of the points, and I have not vetted all of these, but I know some of them are correct. So the Democratic Party did found the Ku Klux Klan, or the Ku Klux Klan, okay? They imposed segregation. It was founded in 1829, the party of slave owners, versus the Republican Party has fought for unity as a nation. They voted in favor of the 14th Amendment, which gave black citizenship. Okay, they voted in favor of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Pro-life, all right? The Democrat is pro-choice. They have convinced black communities to destroy their families, all right? And a lot of this is right here, okay? Completely a lot of this. And some of this, gun control, supporting the Second Amendment. Now, what does that have to do with black communities? Imagine if we were to educate and teach the inner cities. And now it's not just blacks in the inner cities. There's also whites in the inner cities who are very poor. There's also other populations, okay? The whole point of this is for the vice president running as a president to say something like that is completely insane, especially when the Democrats are depending on the inner city black vote. They always have, right? That's why I love people like Candace Owens, David Harris Jr., and there's some other ones as well. I don't know them as well, so you can feel free to comment on the ones that I'm not sure of. But that's why I love them, not only because obviously they're very strong black voices in the conservative parties, but also they're going out and they're educating the people that need to be brought up. It's just like you need to educate people in every community, whatever color they are. But the whole point was I love that because I believe part of the Great Awakening is as different backgrounds, different races, different religions start waking up to what has been perpetrated on them through these parties, both Democrat and Republican. But they have a history of destroying the black. If you go into the cities, inner city, even in downtown Orlando, there are different streets in downtown Orlando that I prefer not to drive on because they're very, very low income areas. You don't go there at night. You definitely don't walk around there at night because there's gun violence, everything else. And this is what they have. They have strip clubs. They have check cashing places, which are not good places. They have pawn shops. They have bail bond places. They have fast food joints. They have gas stations that are not good, well kept. poor lit, and not places to hang out. There's streets in just downtown Orlando, and obviously many other cities, but downtown Orlando is what I can speak of, where you can drive down those streets at night and you can see prostitutes walking the street. And unfortunately, most of those prostitutes are black. So what have they done to the black community? They've destroyed it. And now you have Joe Biden, who knows that he is dependent upon the black vote. Hopefully we overturn that and we educate, okay? But he's dependent on it, and then he calls them out like that, which is horrible. And the Democrats right now are the preeminent party, the ones who are pushing the inner city black population down. We talk about places like Planned Parenthood, organizations like Planned Parenthood and other places. There's other ones as well. I don't even know all the names of them, okay? Who are supposed to be educating or giving family planning advice to inner city people? Absolutely not. And not only that, they're putting more welfare on the inner city population, okay? This is what they do, and people are not recognizing it. And I want the inner city black population, with hopefully some of the people you saw in that video clip, I hope they go down and they can educate them. And I think they actually are, okay? So I think it's fantastic that there was 7 minutes of not just regular black folks, but also people who have who have gigantic viewerships. And they go in and they start educating, just like I think that people should go into the inner cities where there's lower class or less money, basically, into the white areas as well. And they educate them. Because if you can get those demographics, and again, it's not about demographics necessarily, I'm just talking about from a political standpoint. If you can get those demographics and change them and start helping them produce, get them off welfare and to give them jobs. Instead of Planned Parenthood just producing abortions, how about we give education on nutrition? How about we give education on education? And how about we actually just educate these folks, bring them up out of poverty by showing them if they produce, they can produce money, produce families, and then instead of having a bunch of broken families and a bunch of people who have children with several different people, we might actually be able to put inner city families back together, get them out of prisons, because they're going into prisons over drugs and guns, and the drugs and guns are run by politicians and the CIA and everybody else. So I hope this is where we actually create something brand new. But keep in mind, right now, Joe Biden, what he said, I was completely it blew my mind. He said that, and the fact that the mainstream media didn't call him on it. That is completely insane. So I'm not going to continue on that, but it's again, mind-blowing that he would ever go there. All right. Now, I'm going to go into another article here that some of you saw today, which is the WHO temporarily halts trial of hydroxychloroquine over safety concern. Okay. Now, I don't even need to go deep into this. There should be a timeline there now. But this is a 60-plus year drug. Now, again, I'm not a big fan of the medication, obviously, but this is a 60-plus year drug used for malaria and many other things. And now, all of a sudden, since the president is talking about it, they are going to halt the trial because safety concerns. Can we just say at this point that this is completely insane? Absolutely, completely insane. So they are simply doing this, solely doing this to take down the president. Because this also totally screws up their vaccine argument, completely messes up their vaccine argument. And not only that, I read an article before I came on, didn't have time to pull it up, where the fact that this thing, whatever this COVID thing is actually dropping so fast that they won't find the vaccine effective because it won't get out in time. And so they are trying to push for a fall revival of COVID-19. That's what they're trying to do, so they can actually push the vaccine. Because right now, it wouldn't make it, okay? It would not make it, and they want the vaccine. America wants HCQ. Some of us just want good nutrition and good herbs, because guess what? The rest of us can defeat it with natural remedies. So you guys can pick whatever you want, but this is completely insane, and this has to end now. Okay, awesome. Next thing I want to go into, and I'm only gonna do a couple more topics, then we're gonna be efficient tonight, so I can finish off getting my sleep and back on East Coast time. But this one I want to go to next, and this is very fascinating. So there's a General Thomas McInerney. Okay, and let me just start off because I'm going to show you a bunch of video clips. Okay, and this is going to start off. It's Obama administration committed sedition and treason using the intelligence community or Department of Justice to influence an election and impeach a duly elected president. This is a military intelligence operation. There is no other way. Thank you, General McInerney. So I'm going to show you him speaking in several different videos, okay? That's what I'm going to do here. So let me click on this. Let me get this all up. And before he starts talking, okay, there we go. Because I got to give you guys some volume. And again, when I do this, let me know to make sure you guys are hearing the audio on this, okay? So let me switch it over. Okay, Thomas McInerney. There's several different videos in here. I'm gonna show you the main ones, then you guys can go here and look for yourself, okay?
That I will be speaking without any bark on the tree. And if I offend anyone, my apologies. But it is much too serious an issue that I must discuss with you, for it is the first time in the history of the United States that we've had an outgoing administration try to influence, using the intelligence community as well as the Department of Justice, a presidential election in their favor. And when they lost, try to then impeach the President of the United States, who won a legitimate election. Everybody, sedition as a minimum, treason as a maximum.
Okay, that was recent. Let me take you to another clip that's even bigger. This one.
That she had stopped operating a server. People call it a rogue server. That she had over 2,000 classified emails and over 200 special access programs, SAP programs, divulged on it. That server did not have an ATO, which it means authority to operate. In other words, it was a rogue server. Mm-hmm. The first email that went into the White House from her, the White House Communications Agency, WACA, which I used to oversee when I was in the Pentagon, the number 3 man in the Pentagon, they had to report that to the Chief of Staff, Rahm Emanuel. Rahm Emanuel had to tell that to the President. And right away, I can assure you, NSA at Fort Meade has every one of the emails that she sent and the 30,000 or 32,000 that she deleted. Now, she violated the Espionage Act with that, because not only were the Russians, Chinese, Iranians, Israelis, and others, French, British, tapping into that network. And so that information, the classified information, was divulged, which meant she was in violation of the Espionage Act. It also means that President Obama was too, because he sent her an email using a pseudonym. And so he knew, and he is complicit in the approval of that rogue server. And that's why it's a very serious thing. I believe that is why the Democrats are bringing up the Russian complicity in the election and a whole host of other things, because they do not want the Justice Department to go after this issue. In addition to, everybody understands Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton's foundation, the Clinton Foundation, what a deal that was in violation.
So let me real quick, I'll stop this. We'll watch the last 13 seconds. So look at that video, look at that screen right there. And this is this is how it was. This was part of that 16-year plan. So Uranium One was funneling millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation. The Clinton Foundation turned around, and I don't know how they did this necessarily. That money then went to the Russian Foundation or Federation National Nuclear Corporation, right? So she was embezzling money. And keep in mind, this is government money. Like this is the government money was involved with this, because Uranium One is pushing that money to Clinton Foundation, flip back around, and that's going back to a Russian Federation of National Nuclear Corporation. This is insane. All right, and you think she's not going down? Let's listen to the last 13 seconds
of U.S. code. So, what you say is correct. Now, let me complicate your problem a little more. I just got 15 minutes ago, and I just sent it to you.
Yeah, I saw.
Now, I don't know what he was talking about. I got to go find that afterwards. I didn't have a chance to get it tonight, but he has something else. And then we'll listen to this this gentleman. So Admiral James Ace Lyons, who's passed away since this video. Obama's secret deal with Iran are matters of national security. This is why they fear General Flynn. So here, military intelligence is the only way. Now listen to this gentleman closely to what he's saying.
Got the Democratic Party nomination for the presidency. And he opened up a secret channel with the Ayatollahs. And according to Michael Ledeen, the secret channel was Ambassador William G. Miller. And the message was, and I quote, "Don't do a deal with the Bush administration. Wait till I'm president. You will get a much better deal. You will see. You will like my policies. I am your friend." Unbelievable. Here is a country that was found guilty by Judge Daniels in the New York District Court for providing the key material and training support to the 9/11 hijackers that took the lives of 3,000 innocent Americans who were doing nothing more than going to work. And this guy tells them he's their friend. To me, this borders on treason. Obama.
So I'm not going to go into these ones, but these are some of the other ones more recently. You can go check out Blue Sky. Blue Sky is a great one to follow. This one also down here is fantastic. I'm not going to go into that tonight. I just wanted to get to the point across, especially this one, which is that screen right there, the Clinton pay-to-play. Now, I've seen that before, but I did not know the in-depth of it until I started listening to these gentlemen. And so I'm going to dive deeper into this and figure out exactly what was going on with this. But this is being completely uncovered, absolutely uncovered, which needs to be. It's very important that's covered. So they're embezzling. And keep in mind, the Clinton Foundation is not the only foundation this stuff gets embezzled through. So I don't know if you know that, but Gates Foundation has embezzlement. The American Red Cross has embezzlement. All these foundations have been used for very sinister acts behind the scenes. Okay, now, the other thing I wanted to tell you before we end off tonight is Huawei 5G. I'm going to go deeper into this as we go because I don't have all the information, but I want to give you something very, very interesting tonight. Is no one knows who Huawei is actually owned by. So I'm looking through some documents, and the documents are showing that there's been investigations into Huawei. Now, Huawei says this is the 5G company amongst other telecom and telecommunications. They claim that they're owned by their employees, which I think they have hundreds of thousands of employees, if I recall correctly. So if you look deeper, they are actually not owned. Now their employees do have ownership, but it's not stock ownership. And it's interesting because as soon as I started looking into this, it started making sense. Their one owner, I believe he's Rez something else. Don't quote me on that name. He owns 1% of Huawei. The other 99% of Huawei is actually owned by a holding company. And I don't have the document right now, but the document has the name of the holding company. Now, what fascinated me about a holding company was they don't have any names tied to their holding company. Now, I don't fully understand Chinese business, obviously, because I'm not there. So I will tell you the reason why this makes a little bit of sense to me and why they're protecting themselves is because I have a holding company as well. So I know how holding companies work, all right? Holding companies will hold something as a business to make it protected from yourself. So let me kind of explain this really quick. For example, say I have a big manufacturing facility, and say it's ABC Manufacturing, all right? And say it's on 123 XYZ Road, all right? You can completely separate those two businesses. You can make the actual building itself a holding company, and you can make the company itself a private company, which means from a tax and business standpoint, they're separated. And if one goes down, the other one doesn't have to go down. So you don't lose the whole thing. So for example, if they had to bankrupt or if they had a financial problem, you wouldn't have to you would have them divided. They wouldn't all crash. Okay, so meaning, say you have XYZ Street and you name the building XYZ Holding Company, but then the actual business that runs inside of it, you call it ABC Business, whatever, right? So say ABC Business has financial problems and goes out of business, all right? Now that should be under LLC, so that's also protecting the people that own it. But say ABC goes into bankruptcy. Well, XYZ Holding Company, which is the building, doesn't have to go into bankruptcy. It's a separate company. It's protected, just like the company is protected. So the way this works is Huawei is held by a holding company, but also 1% ownership from another person. So I have a feeling, now I can't prove this, but I have a feeling that Huawei and the holding company has investors like Gates, Soros, and many other. Now their names may not be directly on it, but I would be very curious who opened the holding company that happens to own Huawei. So I don't have that information right now. I wish I did. I will try to find it. But again, Chinese business and research is a little different than American. American, you can look it up really fast and boom, it's there. But they don't have to tell you who opened the holding company. And 99% of Huawei is held by a holding company with no names on it. And I guarantee you there's names behind the scenes that actually control that holding company. So very fascinating, very interesting, and it makes me really, really even more suspicious of Huawei. And Huawei is the one who's helping roll out the 5G network across the world, essentially. And so who might be actually trying to roll out? Because we already know there's a patent for 5G and digital currencies. Now they say cryptocurrency. Some cryptocurrency would be digital or 5G. Some would not necessarily have to be 5G. But there is a patent out there for it. So I'd be very curious who is running the show behind the scenes there. And I think that will slowly come up to the surface. If I can't find it myself, I'm sure somebody else will find it. But I think that's what's going on behind Huawei. I think that holding company is very important, and it'd be very fascinating to find out who was controlling that holding company that owns 99% of Huawei. But because I can tell you, the employees, even though Huawei says the employees are in charge and they have ownership, they do not have stock ownership. So they're probably getting some profit sharing, but they're not getting stock ownership. And if you understand the little intricacies behind the businesses, you'll understand how big of a deal that is. The fact that they're telling you their employees own it, but their employees don't have stock rights. So the holding company, I bet you, has stock rights. So how much money are they making off it behind the scenes? And again, the one person who's an owner only has 1%. That's nothing. You're talking about a multi-billion-dollar company. So big, big deal. Now, the last thing we'll go into here, I'll take a couple questions, is I am very, very, very thankful and appreciative to all the patients that I am seeing both in the office, but also all of you amazing long-distance patients who I've helped. You are a true joy to work with. I will tell you that right now. So one of my purposes in life is to bankrupt pharmaceutical companies, not by suing them, but by getting more people better so that they're coming off of prescription drugs and prescription medications. All right? That's what I want to do. All right? One of my purposes in life, other than educating people, is I want to ruin the pharmaceutical industry through getting people so healthy they don't need medications. All right, that's how important this is. All right, so I truly appreciate all the people that have allowed me to help them both physically in the office, but also long distance patients that I help as well. And if you want help with that, let me know. I'm happy to do that. But these are some of the sweetest people on the face of the planet. They're getting results so fast. It's unbelievable. People sleeping better. People pooping better. Sorry, talk about poop around here. People who are having better sex drives. People who have better hormones just in general. And I will tell you, I see every day, it's mind-boggling to me every day how much people are being medicated to death. I mean, I literally had another gentleman in today who, very active, physically very active, great individual. And medications are literally shutting this person down. And it's mind-blowing to see. And now, keep in mind, you have this HCQ medication out there, which I'm not even necessarily for, but will help kill viruses and malaria. And they want to push this vaccine on you. They have turned you into a commodity with medication, meaning they start you off with a couple medications, then they get you on a list of medications, then maybe they get a surgery out of you. And depending on whatever disease label you get, right, they are turning you into a multi-million-dollar commodity. Meaning if you have something as little as, say, an autoimmune issue, you might be worth $100,000 plus to them through medications, through doctor's visits, through surgeries, through labs, you name it, right? Because they make a lot of money off that stuff. All the way up to cancer. Cancer patients, you are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, potentially millions of dollars to them. And this plays right into the insurance game as well. Because keep in mind, just because you're paying, maybe, and you're not even paying a small amount anymore because insurance is outrageous, right? But say you're paying on average a cheap amount, say $500 a month, and say you have your $10,000 deductible. So at the end of the year, you're spending $16,000 plus $20,000 if you even need to use a hospital service. And you say, oh, well, I have insurance, it's covered. Well, what happens is if you're not paying cash, you go in, they charge you an insane amount, but they're charging the insurance company. Now, the prices that they charge the insurance company for your diagnostic tests, for your medications while in the hospital, for your IVs, for whatever surgery it might have been, etc. You know, I have someone close to me who used to work in the hospital, who was in hospital administration, meaning they work behind the scenes in finance. And they could charge upwards of $10 for an aspirin because aspirin actually cost $10 a pill, by the way, not $10 a bottle. $10 a pill for aspirin. You know why? Because they have to maintain the cost of that hospital. They have to pay for doctors. They have to pay for nurses. They have to pay for all the administrative staff. They have to pay for the janitors. They have to pay for everything, right? Hospitals are expensive places, right? They all, by the way, when you have a surgeon doesn't pay for his own malpractice. Like I pay for my own malpractice. Would you like to know how much my malpractice costs? I think around $1,500 for the year, something like that. Surgeons and medical doctors pay sometimes upwards of $250,000 a year for their malpractice. But guess what? They don't pay for it because they couldn't afford it. The hospital pays for those malpractices. So they're paying for malpractice. They're paying for... So when you go in for a random diagnostic test, they charge insurance, say $5,000, $10,000 for tests. I had a female who was 20-some years old come into me. She went to an urgent care because she was having a digestive problem, right? She had a digestive problem on a I think a Friday night. Her abdomen was hurting her. She went into an urgent care. They did a bunch of tests, nothing positive. They said, you're going to need to go to the emergency room because you might be having a major problem. You might be having a colon problem or a small intestine problem. Go into the emergency room right now. She went, okay? The emergency room brought her in. Keep in mind, this girl's in her, I think, mid-20s. She went in. They ran diagnostic tests on her abdomen. And guess what? They couldn't find anything, right? Couldn't find anything. So they sent her home with some like muscle relaxers, whatever it was. She came to see me on a Monday. This was a couple years ago. She came to see me on the Monday, right? Still having abdominal pain. I tested her with my methods with this crazy muscle testing stuff that I use. And I found out, guess what? She was having abdominal problems, all right. And she tested for dairy. And I said to her, you're testing for dairy. Like, you're having abdominal problems. You tested for dairy. Do you do well with dairy? And she said, well, typically not so much. And I said, did you have dairy? And she goes, oh yeah, like Friday morning or Friday afternoon, she had like a bunch of cheese and milk. And she doesn't do well with dairy. So she knew better, yet she still took it. And then she had abdominal problems. And I will tell you, I got her about a $20, $25 supplement for digestive enzymes for dairy. She went home and it was gone in a day. Now, fascinating part was before she left that day, I was very curious. And I said, what did they run on you? She goes, oh, I got the bill for it too. They gave her the insurance printout. The diagnostic test they ran for her to find out what was wrong with her abdomen, right? Insurance, they charged insurance $40,000 for those tests. That's what they charged. They ran $40,000 worth of diagnostic tests to give her a negative result, and then for me to find out that she shouldn't be eating large amounts of dairy and she had some poop and gas stuck in her colon. That's what it came down to, and she had a $20 or $30 supplement that cleaned it out and made her abdominal pain go away. So this is what they're doing to you. They are treating you as a complete commodity, making hundreds of thousands of dollars, potentially millions of dollars off of you. I also, see, now you got me all fired up. I also, in the past year, had a patient who was a oncology nurse. All right? This is the insanity that the medical system is, and they're killing you. So this oncology nurse, she came in, very nice lady, and she deals with oncology all day long, cancer patients, etc. And she told me that, by the way, if you didn't know, chemotherapy is mustard gas. Okay? So the mustard gas that they use to poison people in war and countries, that's what chemo is. It's mustard gas they put in your system through an IV to kill off cancer cells and then make you chemically toxic, will then later turn into more cancer. But then she also told me that they are using arsenic to treat cancer patients, meaning she helps put a pick in your arm and drive arsenic into your cells to kill off cancer. Yet arsenic will kill you, right? And then I asked her the very important question. Very important question. Would you take those same therapies? It's insane to call that a therapy, okay? Would you take these things? Would you take arsenic? I said to her, would you take the same things that you personally give to these people for cancer? Would you take them if you had cancer? And she, with a dead straight face, looked at me and said, no, I wouldn't. She goes, they're poison. An oncology nurse told me that she helps doctors inject chemotherapy mustard gas and arsenic into people's bodies to get rid of cancer. But yet if she had cancer, she would not take the same procedures. And that is your medical system. That's what they do. And then my wife and I and our associates and my many friendly colleagues around the country and around the world, we get Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic cases coming in who are literally sent home. We have Cleveland and Mayo Clinic cases who are sent home to die because they can't figure out the problem. And then they come into us, and through all these weird muscle testing and chiropractic stuff, all this stuff that you were told was pseudoscience and quackery. We take all these things and we help them save their life through nutritional therapies, whole food nutrition, herbals, homeopathy, adjusting a bone in the spine to make sure your nervous system is working well, to build your immune system up. This is what we do. And we do this for, I don't even want to say a fraction of the cost, because man, if I got paid $100,000 for what I did, for what they do, crazy, absolutely insane. And so the whole point of this was, I have some amazing people coming in who are literally, they're waking up. They're seeing these insane drugs being pumped into them. They find out, they go in for one problem. Next thing you know, they have another problem, and then another drug, and then another drug. Next thing you know, they're on 5 or 6 medications, and they feel terrible. And so they're tired of living like that. So they come in, and we actually do something really, really crazy and off the wall. We help them eat better. We put quality nutrition in their body. We adjust their spine. And holy cow, magically, out of nowhere, they start feeling better and they get their life back. And so I just want to personally thank all of you who have been working with me physically as well as non-physically in the office. It is an absolute honor and a blessing for me to help you. You're the sweetest people on the planet. And I'm so, so sorry that the medical system has led you down this very wrong road and turned you into a commodity. And I'm just very thankful that you're one of the ones who has woken up to this and you demanded something different in your life. You put your fist down. You demanded that you be healthy because you were created by God, by our Creator. And you were not put here to be sick. You were put here to be healthy. And you have allowed now this world, and I say this because I see a big change in the paradigm. I see people not putting up anymore with this junk system. And one of the ways that's happening is the moronic World Health Organization saying that a 60-year-old drug that has basically helped people with malaria is no longer safe because it could take away the vaccine, right? And so, again, I'm not an advocate of HCQ or the hydroxychloroquine, obviously, because actually what's happening is the zinc is actually the one that's helping everything. But again, we're going to get screamed off of Facebook and YouTube and Twitter because we said something like that, because they tell us that things like vitamin C and copper and magnesium and whole foods and all these amazing things, we're not allowed to say that these things help people because we're not Big Pharma. And Big Pharma pays the CDC and pays the HHS and pays the NIH and pays the FDA, right? That money, all that corrupt money is there. So we're not allowed to say our stuff that we actually fix people because, and keep in mind, I don't treat, I don't cure, I don't reverse. I don't do any of that stuff because guess what? I don't play God at the end of the day. What I do is I learn, I educate, I constantly study, and I know how the body works and I know how the energy of the body works. So what I do is I simply ask the body, what's going on? I physically ask the body, what's happening? What's not working? Why is it not working? What's the cause of your problem, right? What's making it not work? What do you actually need? And then we just actually apply nature to you, how you're born, how you're created. We apply nature to you. And then magically, I don't have to treat or cure anything or reverse anything because the body is allowed to do whatever the body wants to do. And if the body decides that it's strong enough, it wants to have you reverse something in your own body, it's completely allowed to do that because it has a mind of its own and it's led by some divine thing. And so that's how it works. But I am so appreciative of being able to help all of you. You've been amazing. You come in with smiling faces. When you talk to me, you're smiling through the phone, and that honestly is so nice. I appreciate it so much. And I just want to let you know that this system is corrupt, but don't worry. There are answers. And this is part of the Great Awakening, which is you're going to learn that the medical system does not have your back, but yet colleagues like myself and others out there, they do have your back. And you're going to learn that all the answers have been around for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. And you're going to learn all these things coming very, very quickly. And you have the opportunity to save your health from a system that solely just wanted to make money off of you. And so I hope that helps. Again, I got on a rant and I kept going as long as I did, but I hope that helps everyone. I hope that it's value to you and that you can learn from that and that it makes you better. That's what I hope. So, guys, I'm not going to dive into a ton of questions tonight. If you want to send them to me, it is over an hour. It's 10:30. I am going to get some rest because I need one more night to reset my clock from the West Coast. But do me a favor. If you have questions, obviously send them over to me. If you do have healthcare questions or would like help, it is gethealthy@drjasondean.com. A lot of people have been reaching out to me through there. Some have been reaching out through the office. And by the way, I have someone on this now, so it's not me handling all of it, and they can help you. They're getting it all set up because if it was just me, I will miss some of you, and I don't want to do that. So I'm seeing people all day long and researching and everything else. They're helping me get this all funneled in and taken care of. So I will do anything in my power to help you. You're amazing, wonderful individuals, and you guys have a wonderful night. I'll be back more tomorrow, and I will probably even have more energy this week because I have some really cool interviews coming up who are getting ready to be scheduled. And once I get over my little bit of jet lag tonight, it's almost gone. I'll be ready to rock and roll, and we'll be fired up even more, and I'll probably go on some really cool rants. So, guys, have an amazing Monday night. Again, happy Memorial Day to all of you. If you are a veteran or current active, thank you so much for your service. I appreciate it very much. If you know someone who's passed away, or you're a friend or family member of a veteran who's passed, thank you for their service. We truly, absolutely 100% appreciate it. Let's create a great awakening. Let's create an amazing new planet and country. Let's restore the Republic, but make it even better this time. Love you guys all. Hope this was value for you. Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network, signing off. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye.